Welcome ladies and gentlemen to this video. Today we have shortlisted and combined the most value-packed parts of one of the best interviews on Ethereum which I have seen so far on the internet. As a business strategist and experienced investor, I believe that we must understand the underlying value that a blockchain platform or a company creates for society or targeted market segments before we invest in its digital assets or stocks. As we all know that the crypto market is very volatile and cyclical. Therefore, we can only make life-changing returns if we invest wisely and only invest what we can afford to lose. In this iconic interview, Vitalik Buterin has answered the 8 most important questions which many of my friends, clients, and colleagues have asked me. These questions are: number 1, what are the limitations of Bitcoin and how Ethereum obliterates the deficiencies of Bitcoin? Number 2, is Ethereum a threat to established centralized companies and social networks? Number 3, why Ethereum is non-profit? Number 4, are Ethereum scalability problems a major concern? Also, are high transaction costs, traffic jams, and front running limiting the adoption of Ethereum? Number 5, what is the difference between proof of stake and proof of work consensus algorithms? Number 6, what does Ethereum 2.0 accomplish? Number 7, are Ethereum crypto scams, ICOs, and regulations a big problem? And are these problems amplifying? Number 8, is the role of cryptocurrencies in cyber warfare? So without further delays, let's jump right into the key parts of the interview. If you want to watch the whole 24 minutes long interview, I will leave a link in the descriptions in the credits section. I have timestamped all these questions in the description also. So let's go ahead and listen to Vitalik Buterin.
Well, we have Bitcoin, what next, right? So what else can you do with blockchains? Like what would Bitcoin 2.0 or cryptocurrency 2.0 look like?
As I understand it, it wants to be a whole new operating system, like a new Apple iOS, with a ton of apps built on top of the blockchain. In the simplest terms, what is Ethereum and how is it different from Bitcoin?
So Bitcoin is a blockchain that's designed for one application, right? Which is like maintaining and letting people use Bitcoin, the currency. Ethereum is a general purpose blockchain. So instead of being a blockchain that's designed for one application, Ethereum is a blockchain that supports a built-in programming language, and whatever blockchain application you want to build, you can just write the logic of that application in the programming language, upload that program to the chain, and this becomes what we call a smart contract. And anyone can then interact with your application, and the blockchain interprets the rules of your application for you. So instead of being something that's designed to do one thing, it's designed to open up space for creativity to basically let people do whatever thing that they want to do on top of it.
So is the idea then that the next Facebook or Twitter would not be owned by Jack Dorsey or Mark Zuckerberg, but be built on the blockchain and owned by everyone?
There are multiple projects already trying to do that, and lots of them are based on Ethereum, so yes.
Is Ethereum a threat to established, centralized companies and social networks like Facebook, like Twitter, like Google?
I think it can be a threat, but it can also be an opportunity. Like, I think even Jack Dorsey himself, right, he has this project called Blue Sky, which is trying to figure out how Twitter can kind of incorporate decentralized elements. And I think a lot of these projects want to actually do this, right? Because I think a lot of them are realizing that being a kind of centralized focus of power and having control and of so much of everyone's data and all of these things, like it's not just an asset, it can also be a liability as well.
There was a lot of debate early on about what Ethereum could be, would be, should be, for-profit, non-profit. Non-profit won out, and I know that that was really important to you. Why did you want Ethereum to be a nonprofit, and how did you come to that decision?
It was just very important to me that this is a technology that decentralized infrastructure that's meant to be not controlled and not owned by anyone. And it's a platform that's for the world. And so for that platform to be connected to a company that had a very small number of shareholders, I think is something that could really centralize the ecosystem. And so something that I thought would be very unhealthy and wanted to really avoid.
Now, NFTs in particular have really helped bring new users into the crypto tent. We saw you at Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis's kitchen table.
What's Ethereum?
You also were not happy about Kim Kardashian getting involved. And I'm curious, where do you draw the line when it comes to celebrity endorsement?
The thing that I was unhappy with about Kim Kardashian was that she basically like shilled something like Ethereum Max that was I'd call it a borderline scam, right? It seems like this project that's basically just like at best a pure money grab that's not really providing much of value.
Ethereum has had some growing pains, whether it is high transaction costs, traffic jams, front running. Why do these problems exist?
This is the scalability problem. Everyone's been talking about the scalability problem for at least 5 years now. And basically it's like a simple supply and demand problem, right? Like if the number of people who want to send transactions goes up, but the amount of space for transactions on chain doesn't go up, then all of these people who want to send transactions are bidding against each other, and only the ones that are willing to pay a really high amount can actually get in. The only way to solve this is to just improve the technology to increase the number of transactions that the system can process. It's why we've been doing just all kinds of incremental improvements to the blockchain clients and the protocol and the code over the last 5 years. Ethereum scalability has increased by about a factor of 5 since the project started. And then there are some problems that are not like just scaling problems per se, but they're still technology problems, right? Like there are problems that have to do with the fact that like this entire ecosystem has blown up and gotten big fairly quickly. There's a lot of aspects of it where people are still trying to understand like what is the correct way and what is the safest way to do these things. Right? Like for example, the state of just security auditing for blockchain protocols. Like it has gotten much better since the DAO hack back in 2016. Right. But, at the same time, challenges continue to exist, and that's normal in any space when, you have, I guess, usage growing faster and then the technology catches up.
Can you contrast proof of stake with proof of work? Why do you think that's so much better?
The reason why blockchains need to have proof of something, right, is because like these are decentralized systems. So for example, in proof of work, like the system actually measures how much computing power is being put into each block. And so in order for an attacker to take over the network, they actually have to have more computing power than the rest of the network combined, right? Like, so you can't just spin up a billion virtual machines on one computer, but the problem is that it requires a huge number of computers to be constantly running 24/7. So it works, but it's very expensive. Proof of stake, it works differently, right? So proof of stake works by instead using coins as the economic resource. So if you have coins inside of the system, then you just sign messages with those coins. And for an attacker to take over, they have to basically have like more coins than the rest of the network put together. So it does the same thing, but it avoids the need to have these computers running 24/7, and that's where the efficiency comes from.
You're planning major upgrades, meantime, and ETH 2.0 is well underway. What will that accomplish? What problems will it solve?
So I think what people call ETH 2.0 has two big parts, right? One big part is the switch to proof of stake. So after a full transition to proof of stake, there will not be any more mining. Ethereum's energy consumption will go down by like a factor of more than 1,000. So it'll go from being a big problem to basically not a problem at all. And the chain will become more secure, it'll become more efficient. So after that, the next major milestone is what's called the merge, which is when basically the proof of work chain just stops running and all of the applications on the proof of work chain get moved over to the proof of stake chain and continue running inside of the proof of stake chain from there.
Now, while you're working on all of this, Ethereum has developed an unseemly reputation as a fertile ground for scams. And I wonder how concerned you are about a crackdown like we saw with ICOs. What are the longer term consequences?
There's definitely going to be crackdowns on things happening on blockchains, just like there's crackdowns on things happening on the internet. I do think that the state of the industry and the state of things is improving. But if you just compare it to the way that the space was like 5 or 8 years ago, right? Like 2014, remember, Mt. Gox just like collapsed and $500 million disappeared. Like, and I think we still don't know where most of it is. And like things do continue to happen from time to time, but just like as a fraction of the scale of the space, I do think that it keeps getting smaller and smaller. One big consequence, of course, is that mining is moving out of China, which, I mean, there's definitely a silver lining there in terms of decentralization, in that you don't have as much hash power located in one country anymore. But at the same time, you know, the mining farms there were, you know, real companies with real employees and real people. Some degree of regulatory action is happening, but it's not looking like, you know, anything close to, you know, the level of, like, say, what people feared 10 years ago.
There's concerns about Russia being behind a spate of cyber attacks and cryptocurrency being used as a tool of extortion. How do you think about the intersection of crypto and cyber warfare?
To me, I think that this is a temporary phase. Like, I think what's happened is that just like even like the internet as a whole, it grew a huge amount over the last 20 years. And for most of that 20 years, people just did not take security seriously. It's even the wrong thing to be doing, to be trying to blame attackers. Ultimately, the things that's at fault is the fact that there are these excellent tools within cryptography and like within, you know, the technology behind cryptocurrency itself that allow you to be much more secure against these kinds of things. And I mean, my personal hope is that people like at least see like the level of attacks that are happening now as a wake-up call, and that we get a massive effort to just improve the level of security, just across every industry and across the world. Because if that doesn't happen, right, like then, you know, it's not even ransomware attackers or that are going to be a problem. Like, it's at some point, you know, whenever the first like full-scale cyber war happens, if people are not prepared, it's something that could end up, you know, being something really bad for the world.
And here are my own opinions. So in my opinion, Ethereum definitely has the first mover advantages, being the first smart contracts platform. Yes, the Ethereum ecosystem is growing, but the development of Ethereum has been very slow. Meanwhile, many new blockchains that are much faster and offer either easy migration of Ethereum dApps to their ecosystems, or else offer innovative interoperability solutions like Polkadot, Cardano, Icon, and Solana have surfaced as great alternatives to Ethereum and are all blockchain 3.0 platforms. Also, the development of smart contracts in Solidity is painful and it has a long learning curve, which is something that many new smart contract platforms have considered from the very beginning of their development. These blockchains have solved this problem by allowing the programmers to program in languages that are already known by them and via fast development frameworks that these platforms provide. Therefore, I believe that in the future, blockchain technology will create an impact across various industry verticals and business ecosystems. It will help us mitigate the shortcomings of the existing finance infrastructure and create new possibilities by allowing us to leverage the advantages of blockchain technology to enable the disintermediation of services and decentralization of the software processes. So let me know, do you think that Ethereum 2.0 will help it in retaining the topmost spot in the DeFi space? Or do you think that other innovative smart contract platforms will surpass Ethereum? Also, do you think that Ethereum 2.0 will mitigate the existing problems of Ethereum, such as high transaction costs, traffic jams, and front-running costs? Please share your thoughts in the comment section below. If you found this video valuable, kindly subscribe and hit the notifications bell so that you can get the notifications of upcoming videos on cryptocurrencies, stock market, and personal finance as soon as they are released. Have a great day, and I will see you in the next video.